Just waiting for folks. Oh my. Gosh, anything going on? We'll let a few more folks populate in here and then we will get going. Oh, we're locked in at 200. Oh, there we go. Big jump there. More YouTubing tonight. So we'll see how we do. The numbers are not going up quickly, so I guess everybody's got better things to do tonight. But they also seem to be, we're going up by like, instead of like a couple at a time, we're going up by like hundreds at a time. All righty. That's enough. We'll go ahead and get underway here. Well, it's another night for Facebook Live and over here on the YouTube page because got something pretty big coming in. I mean, there's definitely a winter storm coming. And now the question is exactly what falls outside your house, which we still can't completely answer that question yet. But we can start getting better ideas, and we will have some numbers coming up for you here in just a little bit. So with all that, we are definitely going to see a winter storm. Again, just the magnitude, how much. Potentially this is historic for some. I think we're certainly going top 10 snowfalls in some places. Maybe not Lexington. Again, it's still iffy. It's not, that part's not a slam dunk, but that's on the table. We could actually have one of the biggest ever. But it's certainly not a guarantee by any stretch. Regardless of the numbers, and we'll highlight this again coming up, regardless of the numbers, which everyone's, how much you think we're going to get? Regardless of that answer, there are going to be major life disruptions, not only for a day, maybe a few days. And depending on how bad it can get in places, it may be longer than that, especially when you start getting out into the country. So that's something to keep in mind, that even if the exact number doesn't fall outside your house, there is more than likely going to be a serious life disruption to go along with it. But the finer details are beginning to come in. So we don't normally do a call on amounts 48 hours plus out from the event, but we are tonight. We put this out at 5 o'clock, and these numbers may change. I hate doing first call, second call, last call. I kind of like doing one call and let the chips fall where they may at that point. But we'll look this over here for you. First off, in the southeast, what we're seeing down there is, I think there's going to be enough warm air that for a while, it's just plain rain. There'll be some snow at the onset. There'll be some sleet and freezing rain, but again, just rain for a while. And maybe a decent part of this as the warm nose comes north. There will be some snow accumulations. There'll be some ice accumulations. That I think is right along the Tennessee and Virginia lines. Okay, come just north of that. So 20 miles either side of the Hal Rogers and Cumberland Parkways. I think we get 3 to 6 inches of snow. But I also am really, really worried that we could end up with a significant icing situation. And it looks like the chat's not working again tonight, so unless nobody has any questions. But again, I'm not seeing anything on my end. I wonder if I do. Facebook event not live. Connection in error state, although it says I'm streaming. Let me check. Let me wander over here. I'll pull in Facebook over here to see if there's things coming in that I'm not seeing. But it's not making it over to my chat window right here. So with let me hit on that. Well, there are definitely comments here. 75 of them so far. So, yeah, we'll try and get to some of those coming up. We'll go through all this and I'll circle back around on that. So again, apologize that it's not happening live on my my desktop right here. So again, where was I? Oh yes, the ice storm. I think the southern couple of tier counties is in real danger of a significant ice storm, where you're talking better than a half-inch of ice on trees, on power lines. So I suspect there's going to be some serious infrastructure problems there in the southern, southeastern parts of Kentucky as we continue to come north. And these lines are by no means hard and fast. It's like, well, you see it drawing right through McKee. The lines are fuzzy. And north of that, as you're getting deeper into the cold air is thicker. You'll get more snow. And I think Danville, Richmond, Campton, West Liberty, Campbellsville, Liberty, Stanford, you're in a 4 to 8 inch snow band with a lot of sleet and freezing rain. The sleet is the snow amount killer, and that will efficiently knock down any snow total. It knocks about 60% off of what you otherwise would get. So right now, I think there is enough snow that you get that 4 to 8 inch plus sleet and plus freezing rain potential. As you come north, Bluegrass Parkway, I-64. I'm going with an 8 to 12 plus. Now, the wild card, as it says there, is sleet. If we end up in Lexington with several hours of sleet, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, that will knock the snow totals down. But at this point, I think 8 to 12, and again, we could go a little higher, is a pretty good number at this point. That includes a lot of central Kentucky. You get north of, Highway 32-ish, and you are probably going to be into all snow because the cold air is thick enough. And with that, I think it's 12 inches plus. 16, 18 certainly is within the realm of possibility, but I kind of look at it from this perspective. When you are at a foot already, another 3 or 4 inches, putting another number on it, doesn't matter. It doesn't impact what's going to be happening. So I think the northern half or northern third of Kentucky there, northern quarter, is going to be all snow, and I think it's going to be a lot. And that may actually include Louisville as well. So again, Lexington, the I-64 corridor, Bluegrass Parkway, I've got 8 to 12 plus with sleet, and again, sleet being the wild card. But the thing to remember, regardless of these numbers that you see here, no matter what those numbers say by your house, even if they're off, say we only get 6 for whatever reason in Lexington, it's like, oh, you missed. Well, you know what? There's going to be a serious disruption to normal life because if we get 6 inches of snow, we've probably got 2 or 3 inches of sleet in there, and you'll mix the concrete there with some freezing rain, and you end up with, again, the stuff that doesn't go away. So that's kind of the overall thinking. Hopefully this is the first and only call that you will end up seeing from this. Timeline of the beginning. At this point, I think noonish Saturday still is a good time frame. It could come in a little earlier during the morning, but it really, I don't think, gets cranked up until Saturday afternoon and Saturday night. So again, those are our numbers for the first call here, first and hopefully only call. So again, I've got Lexington solidly in the 8 to 12, and it's because of this liquid equivalent. So if you were to take everything that falls, frozen or otherwise, put it in a rain gauge, and these are the numbers of the amount of stuff that will have fallen. So when you're seeing 1.5 to almost 3 inches of stuff falling out of the sky, that is a prodigious amount of water. When it's running headlong into Arctic air, if it's all snow and your ratio is normally 10 to 1, now you're talking 15 to 1, maybe even a little higher than that, and you start multiplying what the snowfall amount is. Now, the big numbers that you're seeing, Somerset and Monticello, the 2 plus, there's going to be a lot of rain or freezing rain in that. And in addition, I think there's also quite a bit of sleet that comes along with it. So that's why the overall snow number, that's why it's not 26 inches of snow in London. on the 10-to-1 ratio. Because again, I think we get a lot more other stuff, and the ice storm potential is in there. So again, that's your liquid equivalent. And why is it this high? Because the moisture source on this is the tropical Pacific Ocean. We'll show you that coming up in a second. So how does all this work? For snow, we love snow. Snow would be wonderful. Snow is much easier than the mess we've got coming in. And it really also tells the tale of, for the last 5 days or more, you've been seeing these stripes of monolithic heavy snow covering all of Kentucky uniformly. And if it were all snow, that's great. That's how it would work. But we started talking about how that warm air aloft comes into play and complicates things. So this is the uncomplicated version right here. If it's temperatures in the cloud, and it's usually around 25, 26 degrees is sort of the threshold to make good snow crystals. So if you got that temperature, then below freezing, or at least close enough all the way down to the ground, you get snow, and it's all snow, and life is good. But complications are going to arise. For sleet, now we start talking about that warm air coming in aloft. We're talking usually mile and a half up, where this warm tongue comes in, or this warm stretch comes in. And if it's relatively thin and well above the surface, you'll start with snowflakes in the cloud. And so you create the snowflakes there. They melt. They turn into water drops in that warm layer. Thing is, once you've made it into a water drop, it cannot become a snowflake again. So it turns into an ice pellet. That's sleet. Sleet, itty-bitty little tiny things. Hard to make that pile up into nice big numbers. That's why sleet is the snow amount killer. And finally, the other frozen precipitation type, freezing rain. So what happens is you start with a snowflake in the cloud. It falls out of the cloud. It goes into a wider area of above freezing temperatures. So that snowflake turns into a water drop. Thing is, the cold at the surface may be very thin. And if you remember back to the ice storm in 2003 in central Kentucky, including Lexington, we estimate that cold air layer was only about 300 or 400 feet thick because you could see along the Kentucky River Valley where the cold air drained into, where the difference between where there was ice at the lower elevations and no ice up on top as you looked over into Madison County. Hey, we got something on the chat. Something made it through. I'm not sure how Amanda made it through, but congratulations, Amanda. Yeah, just preparations. Hopefully people aren't traveling much Saturday and Sunday. The negative response from the city. And the city is obviously well aware. They had a media event today and talking about all the things that they're doing to be prepared. And it's not like this one's sneaking up on us. We've been talking about this one for a while. So again, to finish up with the freezing rain. It falls as rain, narrow sub-freezing temperatures at the surface, and the water then spreads out and freezes, sticks to stuff. And so that's what you end up with freezing rain. So we're going to look a mile up here. And with that, you are looking at temperatures Saturday morning. This is at the 850 millibar level. And I'm actually going to go ahead and kind of control this a little bit more here. So with that, watch what happens here. So you see you've got the southerly winds beginning to kick in, but you also see the northerly winds across northern Kentucky. So the 850 temperatures, a mile up, are going up. By the time we get you into, well, say 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we're still all snow at this point. I even think across the south it's going to be all snow at this point because you see temperatures that are 25, 26 degrees a mile up. But you also notice all the southerly winds. So that's that warm jet coming in. So as we continue then into Saturday night, you notice temperatures, say by 10 o'clock, Williamsburg's above freezing a mile up. Harlan for even freezing. Trying to avoid a coughing fit, so that's why I'm drinking the water. So that's an area where we're gonna have changeover at that point by Saturday evening. The rest of us still should be all in snow. As we continue then to the overnight hours after midnight, you see Richmond and Danville and places to the south are 30 and above. at that point, you are probably sleeting in Richmond and Danville because it's going to be hard to create snow through that. And as temperatures continue to moderate in the I-64 corridor, again, that may be some serious sleeting times, while across across the south, you can see temperatures are well above freezing, and you are talking sleet, freezing rain, more likely freezing rain, and maybe just plain rain at that point. Now, do the temperatures, see, in Lexington, the number never gets above freezing. So I don't think we go to freezing rain. I think several hours of sleet Saturday night, Sunday morning are a possibility. And then as the cold air comes crashing in, as the low begins to depart, you see those numbers beginning to come back down. So that is why things do what they do. With the Facebook Live here, I want to be more than just, here's what you're going to get at your house in Harrodsburg, in Danville, in Richmond, in McKee, in Boonville. I'm trying to explain why things do what they do. That's part of the fun. So with that, the warnings are extensive. You have winter storm warnings from Albuquerque through most of Texas, as far north as Kansas City through us. I think I know why Wilmington, Ohio, hasn't put out warnings for northern Kentucky, and I think it's just a timing issue. I think they think the onset's a little later, past a 48-hour window, and so I think that's why they were waiting. It just makes the graphic more complicated. But you see then the winter storm watches as far south as Atlanta, as far south as Houston, basically to Baton Rouge, and then all the way up to New England. There are ice storm warnings from near Nashville down into northern Louisiana. Remember, a couple of days ago, we got the ice storm warning here. Remember a couple of days ago, everybody was painting Nashville as the ground zero for an epic snow, and that's what you were seeing on all that internet stuff. Well, that line has really pushed north. And in fact, this is what you look at here. So again, the darker colors, and again, I know it's not the best color for snow, but it stands out against the pink. So this is to highlight the demarcation that may be happening between where there's more sleet and freezing rain compared to snow, because even with that, there is going to be snow into the areas where there is going to be freezing rain. That line cuts off at 4 inches, by the way. So that we see going through south of Danville there, that brighter shade, that's a 4-inch line. So again, that's just off some of the modeling. This is to give you an idea. And again, the axis of heaviest, it's probably north of the Parkway there, like we showed you on our map. That's probably the axis of heaviest snow between the Parkway and the Ohio River. So Louisville and Cincinnati certainly involved with that. And again, wonder why that area is not under a winter storm warning, but not my call. So with that, what's causing this? What is the genesis for this? It's this guy right here. That's your energy. That is your tropical moisture plume. So this will feed into that, and the low begins to get going. There'll be waves that come along this is a jet stream here. There are going to be waves that come along that jet stream, and that all gets transported up our direction. You add that energy into the system, and that's what makes this whole thing go, and why this one has some really unusual numbers. I mean, just incredibly high numbers. So you see, again, that spinning off of Los Angeles. You see the tropical moisture feed. You also see this big guy out here south of the Gulf of Alaska. What that is likely doing, so this is going even beyond this weekend, but that's sending the ridge up into Alaska as it builds it out in front of it. When that happens, that dumps all that cold air that's sitting up here at the top of the world and moving it down our direction. That's why when you see the 8-day, we're below freezing now. I don't think we get above freezing again until sometime first week in February, sometime, maybe the earliest we get back to freezing. So that's the kind of stretch that we are getting into here. So that's your overall setup on why things do what they do. I will go ahead and put the snowfall map back up. Voila. And do that. I still have just that one message that's made it through, so I'll look over it. Pardon my profile. I don't even know where Sedalia, Kentucky is, Lauren. Nicholasville. Okay, so we're getting to that part of our program. Nicholasville, I've got in the 8 to 12 with sleet. You are closer to the 4 to 8 line. Mount Sterling, same answer. Let's see if I'm going to do that to hit all the comments. Wow. Monticello, you are going to not enjoy the benefits of the winter storm like I think a lot of folks are. You are going to get freezing rain. That's not fun. You will get some snow. You'll get some snow out of the deal. A couple inches maybe, but you'll also get sleet. You're going to get freezing rain. And I think you're also getting rain in Monticello. Richmond, I've got you in the 4 to 8 plus sleet. You may get quite a bit of sleet, and I think some freezing rain is tossed in as well. I'm not telling what the Bluegrass Airport number is because that's a secret for KSR tomorrow. I don't want anybody copying my work. So with that, Stanford, same as Richmond, same as Danville, 4 to 8. Cynthiana, you've got a shot at the golden snow shovel. I think you're going to be really close to being all snow, and I think you may be close to that sweet spot, 12 plus. So you could be looking at a very substantial snow there in Cynthiana. Frankfort's on the edge of the all snow. So I think you may be at the higher end of the 8 to 12. But again, you're talking about a lot of stuff regardless. And again, we're all focusing on the number. The number is interesting. The number is kind of something to talk about. The number is not necessarily important because the message I've been trying to get through is that regardless of the number, the disruption. I mean, everybody goes, bring on all this big snow. Well, it's careful what you wish for because there are possibilities that you could be snowed or iced in, multiple days. That's not always necessarily fun. Some of us still have to get to work. My daughter has to get to work. There are people who it's not a holiday. And so this looks like a pretty serious disruption to normal life. Versailles, 8 to 12. Pike County, I've got you 3 to 6, but I think you are also on the edge and the precipice there of the ice storm. But you may also get in on more rain out in Pike County. And again, the numbers that you see, or the lines that you see here, are fudgeable. I had to put them. So, you want to know how I built this? That is how I built it. I sketched it out, what I was thinking was going to happen, and then turned it into the computer graphic. Yeah, we go really high tech here. Harlan, I think you end up with quite a bit of rain out of the deal, to be honest. You're going to get some winter stuff, but I think you get quite a bit of rain. So your numbers are going to be small, and I think you will get some freezing rain, and you'll get some snow, but I think rain is going to be a pretty decent player. I think I need to publish a map where you all can figure out where you are. I know I got London covered up by the 3 to 6 with the ice storm. Clarksville, Indiana, that belongs to Louisville, I think. But I think you've got mostly snow there. So yeah, you're seeing the numbers that we've got. Tammy, good idea. Clean the house during the storm. Great idea. It's not a bad idea. Hazard, I think you've got a pretty decent chance at an ice storm plus 3 to 6 inches of snow. A lot of this may end up being that winter concrete that we had last year, except what we had last year was that. Well, you can't even see it on the screen. Double it. And I think that's what a lot of us may end up with. I know I'm a map geek, and so I apologize for that. So it's, having to memorize where all the counties were, and there are a lot. I look back to where I grew up outside of Chicago, and the counties are big, and the Chicago television market's like 15 counties, whereas we're like 50. But that's part of the fun. But again, just to reiterate, because I don't want to have too much fun here, to be honest, because I think this is a serious situation, and rarely, that was too big. Rarely do I go down that road, but I really do believe that this is a significant and a dangerous winter storm. It's a potential, certainly, but I think the odds are pretty good that we get a pretty good shot of winter in here. Um, while we're, and we're talking about this, let me see if the new NAM has started to come in yet. I believe it has. So let's see where we are with it. Winter, snow total, back. It only goes up to 1Z on Sunday, so that's 9 o'clock Saturday evening, or say 8 o'clock Saturday evening. But its corridor of heaviest snow at this point looks to be along the Ohio River, so pretty close to where we've got it. That seems to be the axis that it's aiming for. So the bottom line is, this is a huge deal. Prepare for it as such. You don't need 20 loaves of bread unless you have a house of 25. Truthful, here, God's honest truth. Saturday's my birthday, and for my birthday, my wife always makes my mom's coffee cake for me, which needs buttermilk. There was one bottle of buttermilk left at the Kroger, and it was dated tomorrow. So it was probably sitting at the back, and it got looked over. So I did get the last bottle of buttermilk. Sorry. So yeah, that's, and again, I guess trying to add a little levity to what is an otherwise, big situation. So I hope that's the takeaway that you're getting from this, is that this is, haven't heard 19 Patty. Okay, well, okay, thank you for saving the one. Sedalia is, it's near Mayfield. Okay, you're in western Kentucky. I think you're 8 inches of snow and some decent ice out that direction. Ice, I think, will be in the ice storm area, 1/2, 3/4 of an inch. Could conceivably be a little bit more if a worst case scenario happens. And that gets to serious real world infrastructure stuff. And nobody wants to deal with that. Danville, there's going to be sleet and freezing rain in Danville, in addition to, I think, a good snow. The ice, if the warm nose is stronger, then you are in danger with the ice, as is Richmond, as is Campton. But this is what I'm thinking now. So given what I'm thinking with you get maybe staying more sleet than freezing rain. So that you want that scenario. I probably would rather have snow, but you want sleet over freezing rain. But I don't think that happens as you get, again, down along the parkways in the south, Cumberland and Hal Rogers. I'm really concerned for an ice storm, in addition to the snow. And by the way, the cold that follows, if you saw well, I can show you the 8-day. Why? Yeah, because I can do it here. I just have to do this. When you look at the 8-day, you will see that once we get into next week, I've got 4 days below 0. That's assuming the snow cover. Wednesday, when you get above 0 there, that's with a clipper that brings the next shot and colder shot of Arctic air. Remember what we're showing you on the satellite, that ridge going up to Alaska? That's what it would be delivering. The 8 to 10 below that you're seeing there, that could actually be conservative. Let's not get crazy on it yet. That's plenty cold, 8 days out to forecast. So again, there's a lot of stuff going on. Saturday, I think it gets worse as the day goes on. So by Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, I think it's pretty nasty. It continues into Sunday. It doesn't end until late Sunday night, early Monday morning. Traveling, if you are going out of town and trying to come back Sunday, you have alternate plans ready. I mean that in all seriousness. Have plan B ready. Think about it now. If even coming back even first of next week, it may be a little, let's see. And the other thing to keep in mind is that, driving is going to be, I think, nasty into the first part of the weekend. But the other thing to take in mind here is, again, how expansive this storm is. Here are the airport hubs that are going to be impacted by this: Dallas, Memphis, Nashville, Covington, Atlanta, Charlotte, Dulles, and Kennedy. So you are now basically putting this gigantic winter storm over most of the air network that we have. So keep in touch with your airline, so you know what's going on. Because again, it may be okay where you're trying to get out of, but the plane may not be able to get to you because of what's going on someplace else. So that again is all that we're looking at here. And I am about to have coughing coming on here. Tuesday morning to Georgia, probably okay. I'm not going to guarantee that, but probably okay on Tuesday. And thank you, Patty. Crank and boom for the ice cream in Lexington. Get the bourbon ice cream. Good stuff. Flying into Cincinnati Saturday evening is going to be a real adventure if it happens at all. Again, I think it's going to get, there's going to be there's going to be canceled flights everywhere. Okay. Yeah. So again, a lot of winter to talk about. We'll do this again tomorrow night. And, at that point, we're 24 hours and less from the event. So we'll be honed in. But I'm feeling pretty good about what we've got out there right now. Usually, though, when the weather gods see a weatherman feeling pretty good about what he's got out there, boom, we smite thee. So we'll see what happens with that. So friends, thank you so much for clicking on here tonight and hanging with us and enjoying the ride. Hopefully you learned a little something. Hopefully you got the knowledge that you needed. And if not, we will talk again on LEX 18 News at 11. Tom will be in the morning. Tom will also be doing a Facebook Live at some point tomorrow. And then we'll rejoin you again tomorrow afternoon. Again, thanks for clicking on the stream. We do appreciate you. I hope that you get the weather that you want. And we will all enjoy a little bit of winter weather here. Hopefully not too much bad stuff at your place. Have a great night.